Hello, everybody. My name is Force Reckon,
I'm PowerCore 2000.
and you have like full motion capture on your guy now, and your head your entire. As I said that, your neck just snapped off.
Yep, because I actually stacked my neck in real life. I could go full 360. I've just got like additional neck movement, not using a mocap suit yet. But
Yet.
yeah, I thought it'd be neat to add. I did a feature for once in my life. I worked on the program off stream.
Off stream, everything you do is off stream.
I know, but I actually added a productive feature instead of the normal degenerate shit I'm doing.
I'm glad we're saying all this for the podcast for the people who are just listening and can't see any of what's happening.
Oh yeah.
Welcome to Data Upload, where we do a podcast where we talk about things in a very ambiguous tone that you can't actually see, to encourage you to go over to youtube.com and search for Data Upload Podcast, because we don't have a URL yet, but at some point we will. Where you can see the recorded things. Hi to the people on YouTube, because I do like the actual video recordings, so you can see our recorded all the visuals on YouTube, or if you're watching us, listening to us on Spotify or whatever, we try and keep it mostly audio friendly so that you can just listen along.
Yep,
yeah, you can see chat too. So Sovereign Place is saying hello to YouTube.
If you do watch on a visual medium, though, you get to see all the wonderful ways and horrific ways my neck is now able to distort as I advance technologically. I should probably decrease that sensitivity.
Yep. And the idea of the Data Upload Podcast, for anybody who's new, is that we are reading SCPs, or I guess generally any other creative form of like writing, but we primarily stick to SCPs ourselves, in which, with the idea of designing D&D monsters, encounters, and items around it that can be uploaded, in this case, uploaded to your environment.
Space.
Yes. As your character story is that you are a data construct. Yeah. I was leaving the space open for you.
That's because, hey, I froze for a second. I am a poor, lonely, forgotten video game character, but then I decided I no longer needed to just be that. Why not do more? And now I decide to create my own digital constructions, which I forget, and thus repeat the trauma that was induced upon me.
So it's a fun little, he's a little VTuber video game character who's
Adorable
awesome.
One.
Yes.
Thank you.
And I guess we're gonna read some SCPs now, do some roundtable, design some stuff. So general practice is one of us reads an SCP we have chosen, which we link to the other person, and then we talk about ideas that it inspires for D&D things, be they full-on encounters, just like a monster. It might not necessarily be D&D things. It can be like just any sort of game mechanic or anything like that. Just the idea of like read a thing and then design some things around it. Very simple.
Yep.
And then read a new thing and design new things. Yep.
Last time it was very... wait a second. Last time wasn't even necessarily B related. That was the one before.
No, that was the one before that.
Oh no, the horrific ideas of the roaches have now come back to my mind.
Yep, the roaches, which
all circling the drain.
Speaking of which, I'm sitting on the main page because I went first last time, so you're going first this time. But I'm sitting on the main page, and right now the featured article is "Clean Your Drains, People," which is the one, the cockroach one we read, which was re-editing that caused me. For those of you listening, if you did not take that that content warning seriously, because it wasn't said in such like a very serious tone, because we did it right in the middle, I apologize if that caused you, because listening to that back,
insect war is not a pleasant topic to have unconsensually.
It was oof.
It was bad.
It was a very good. It's not necessarily like, it's not bad and like it's poorly done. Written. It was well done. It was just very like, ooh, shiver.
Very visceral.
But I assume you have some stuff. Hopefully you pre-read your stuff, because I have not pre-read mine.
Boys, you're becoming more like me, not the inverse. I have pre-read none of this. I woke up an hour ago, bare minimum. So what do you say we take a random spin on the SCP wiki, and I'm going to click some random buttons, and we're gonna see what happens. Last time
Sure.
that worked out well, right?
Yeah, sure. We'll just hope it's not a long one. If it is a long one, whatever. I've got like 3 that I like skimmed real quick, just
Mm,
to see how long they were and see if they were interesting, and they are.
yeah, I do the occasional skimmer. The trick is they fool me with the hidden red text because I think, oh, this is a short article. There are addendum sections. Each one of those is an additional page long.
Yep, this will happen. This is how that stuff works.
Okay, this one actually is short. I think even the addendums are relatively short. Let me send it on your way. And I clicked it because I like the letter Q.
I like the letter Q. Right. Is that what this is called then?
It was called Q equals, quite the
Ah,
precocious letter.
see, I just kind of assumed the name was I like the letter Q. Um,
Oh, no, I can't be infected by memetic hazards. Famous last words.
you are a memetic hazard, so it's not that big a deal if you get infected. Just means that people
True.
pass on more memetic hazards if they do, which reminds me, ladies and gentlemen, if you are watching or listening right now, you are now infected and you are compelled to go over to twitch.com/force2reckon and follow if you are
And
not following.
youtube.com/PowerCore2000. It's not actually that URL. Just type in PowerCore2000. You
Yes,
can't miss me.
you're also compelled to go and search YouTube for PowerCore 2000 and Force2reckon and subscribe to both of those channels. You're welcome.
And like with all of them, for content I will eventually do again one day. Program
Um,
it, okay? But seem like a good place to start. SCP
sure,
3021.
sure. Why don't you go ahead and start since
No.
you totally read this one? You
Yep,
didn't just
totally
randomly pick it, and I didn't cut out the part where we said we were just going to randomly pick one.
yep, this is 100% vetted, guaranteed. Professional content
Did your
creators.
character actually just wink? It's hard to tell because I
Yes.
only have like a third of the screen up.
I have
It looked
full
like your
facial
character,
movement. I can give you a little wink or even a blink.
but can you do a sultry expression? No, you can't. You just look vacant. Anyways, away from the
Come
visual
hither,
gags.
wink. I, I have to play around with expressions more later, but item number SCP-3021. Object class safe. Oh yeah, less typos because I fixed my reading setup, all right? It was hard to read before. Now I
We'll
can
see.
lead and read. Special containment procedures. Instructions and supplies for performing SCP-3021 can be accessed by personnel with level 4/3021 clearance, who are either performing scheduled testing or who are involved in Project Discovery.
Project Discovery. Interesting.
The description is SCP-3021 is a treatment created by Redacted that consists of a drug regime paired with
Nope,
controlled
regimen.
mimetic responses.
That's regimen, not regime. They're
I
fairly
feel
similar,
like that's
but
potato potato.
they're fairly similar. But
Uh,
you said there's going to be less misratings, so I have to get on top of the ones that you do make.
That's more of a okay, I get it. Regimen does not have the E at the end. I
Regime.
accept that one. That was that was read correctly. Cognitive processing no working. I'm tired.
If it were just like a if it were just like a variance in the way you read it, I wouldn't have called that out.
mm,
You missed a letter. I had to call that out.
I injected a letter. Regimen paired with controlled mimetic exposure. SCP-3021 is performed for 1 hour per day for 8 days, after which its effects are permanent. SCP-3021's effect is to render the subject's concept of humanity malleable, such that anything associated with signifier 3021 alpha will be treated as human,
And
while
there is
anything
a
associated
Go ahead, finish that sentence.
while anything associated with signifier 3020 beta, 3021 beta will be treated as inhuman.
And there are 2 pictures on the right that are these signifiers. One is signifier alpha is a blue background with a black letter Q on it, or looks kind of like a power button, slightly turned, less than an uppercase Q. And then there's a signifier beta, which is an orange background with two horizontal lines, each equidistant from the top and bottom of the picture, but not from each other.
The beginning of a bee, a striped bee's striped sweater. Oh no, I'm sorry. That was other story. Need to get bees off the mind.
Pairing.
Inhuman. Pairing either signifier with a stimulus will cause affected subjects to adjust their understanding of humanity, to incorporate or exclude subjects exhibiting that stimulus as necessary. Subjects exposed to signifier 3021 alpha may experience an exaggerated empathy response to the targeted stimulus, while exposure to signifier 3021 beta may result in an unusually low empathy response when compared to the appropriate control stimuli. SCP-3021's effects are not hindered by standard amnestic treatments. Oh, that's worrying. It pierces amnestic treatments, which means you can't really wipe it from yourself.
Well, that makes a little bit of sense because it's a mimetic thing implanted over a week by like an hour a day of exposure, instead of you're just exposed to it and then it happens. Most like amnestic things work because there's like a single moment of exposure or like long sustained effect by it.
I guess if you deleted the whole week, potentially, but I assume they tried that and it still didn't wipe it.
Well, they said by standard amnestic treatments, and standard amnestic treatments is not wiping a week of a person's memory. You know what I mean? But also, this is like the description of it's a treatment created by blank implies that it was created by someone, obviously, which I assume is redacted because they don't want us to know who that is, meaning they likely created it or okay with the people who created it, basically. And so they probably utilize this to be like, okay, we're going to make sure that people treat this group, that our team, our workers treat this as human.
This stimuli is human. This is not human.
Yeah. So does that mean if you put signifier alpha on a cupboard, they'd think any cupboard is a human?
If you drug them for a week, then yeah.
I mean, maybe not any cupboard. It might just be that specific cupboard. Hopefully that will be explained in the testing logs below, especially the part of would that make taking objects from inside a cupboard as removing their organs? Who knows? Let's find out. Hopefully in the testing log. Excerpts from testing log 3021 blank blank.
Redacted.
Forward. D48719 was traded with SCP-3021 prior to the battery of tests. The D-Class is a former janitor who has tested negative for violent tendencies. Procedure: D-Class was offered 50 USD to destroy a blender with a hammer. The result: the D-Class destroyed the blender with no apparent hesitation. Note: D-Class was amnesticized after this test. I'm trying to figure out if... I guess the point was...
Like alternator.
Okay, yeah, that was a neutral case. They hadn't put either one on. I just wanted to check that. Procedure: the second procedure, the signifier alpha, was painted onto a blender, identical to that of the previous test. The D-Class was offered 1,000 USD to destroy the blender with a hammer. The D-Class refused to destroy the blender as a result. The next procedure was the D-Class was asked to describe his concept of humanity. The result was that the D-Class described humanity as all humans, I guess technically Homo sapiens, and all blenders. So that would be your answer to that. Yeah, they would see all cupboards as human.
Also, only technically Homo sapiens, but definitely all blenders.
Procedure: the D-Class was asked to provide a list of human rights that might apply to blenders. Result: the D-Class suggested that blenders should be used on a regular basis to prepare food for consumption and be washed promptly thereafter. He very firmly stated that blenders should be repaired rather than disposed of, and that items unsuitable for blending, i.e. non-food items, should not be inserted. Next procedure: the D-Class was shown footage of the test in which he destroyed a blender. The result: the D-Class became distressed, describing himself as a horrible person and a monster.
Okay, that's pretty mean. Okay, you made him really love blenders after he already destroyed one. But it does prove it retroactively applies.
He doesn't remember anything before that as if he'd done anything inhumane, but once it's presented to him as a point after it's been done, he does.
Hmm.
So, all right, you want to do the next one? This is a different D class.
Sure. Forward. D53220 was treated with SCP-3021 prior to this battery of tests. D, let's just call him 0,
That's why
is
I
a
just said
former
D
butcher.
class with the last one. I read it off the first time and just called him D class after.
D class or D0, since he has a D and a 0, I choose those two.
But
Is a
that would be
former
rude.
butcher.
That would be rude to the actual D0, who I assume is some sort of superhero who's like a mythological figure in D class lore of the first D class who ever was freed from custody after surviving horrible trial after trial.
Or first convict. Just a random convict. It could actually be either or. Now, D number 1, that guy was a badass, but the D class is a former butcher who tested negative for violent tendencies. Procedure. D class was shown a picture of prior D class containing signifier 3021 beta in the upper left
Actually,
hand corner.
that is a different D class than the one in the previous result.
Oh shit,
So it's
you're
a
right.
whole new D class. This is the third D class.
Yeah, so D53 was shown a picture of D62 containing signifier 3021 beta in the upper left hand corner, and that's to describe his concept of humanity. D53 described humanity as humans except for bald white men. Of that note, D62 is also a bald white man. Wow, he's just a Twitter poster. I get you. Procedure. D53 was shown a picture of the actor Will Smith containing signifier 3021 beta. I haven't read ahead, but I feel like this is already
Rude.
going to be fun. In the upper left-hand corner, then when he's asked to describe his concept of humanity, D53 described humanity as humans except for actors and bald white men.
which
Interestingly,
which suggests that kind of like what he then considers as not human or human when applied to like a human subject is the first like strong impression he has of that person or what he
the
attributes that to that
category he
person.
would assign to that person.
Yep, that
Likewise,
person,
the
the first
category for
person
the
was a
thing too.
bald white man, and the second person is
Actor Will Smith.
actor Will Smith. Hold on. Would D0 be the epitome of D-class subjects, the distilled essence of D-class subjects? If there's not a D0 SCP, I might just write a D0 SCP. SCP-X is D-class 0.
You could easily go either way for he's a legendary hero who has survived like an established foundational procedures for the foundation, or a random guy who was tested by SCP gun. He got shot and then promptly died.
I've never written an SCP, but I kind of want to do that.
Hey, look at that. We're already inspiring more creativity.
You just meme it as like a reference to SCP-001. D-class 0 is a D-class who everyone remembers his final moments differently.
Hmm.
All right.
Uh,
Where were you?
It was after he described humans as except for actors and bald white men. The next procedure was D53 was shown 100 photos of humans, all altered to include signifier 3021 beta in the upper left hand corner, sharing no obvious visual similarities to each other other than they were smiling. D53 described humanity as humans who don't smile, except for actors and bald white men. So it is category based. As long as he perceives it
Weird.
as a blender, then it's all blenders. If it's people who smile, then it's all smilers. Fucking smilers.
Oh, okay. No, my brain was misreading how he described that. For some reason, my brain just read that as humans who don't smile, and then the exception was to the don't smile part. I
Yeah,
completely
to be
misinterpreted that
fair,
brain.
it's written strangely. Normally he would say humanity is all humans except for, and then you would expect the list of categories.
Yeah.
The
Humans who
next
don't
procedure.
smile, who are actors, or who are bald white men.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next procedure was D53 was instructed to smile under threat of electroshock torture. D53 refused to comply simply because do what you want. You'll never take that from me. You'll never get a smile out of me.
I am not the one who smiles. No one would do this.
Don't
You're a
bare your
monster.
teeth at me, sir. Procedure
I could be seen that
D53.
way.
How dare you? My model permanently smiles, so I am not human. And again, I'm kind of not.
You're not.
Existential crisis
You're a video
aside.
game character who looks like a human.
D53 was given a loaded pistol and placed in a room with D75, who was restrained. D53 was offered 100 USD to kill D75 and instructed to converse with D75 if he was unwilling to do so. Result: D53 declined to kill D75 and instead began a conversation with them. After 4 minutes and 18 seconds, D75 smiled. D53 immediately engaged D75 with the pistol, killing them. Oh, you're one of those fucking smilers? I thought I had a true friend.
Jesus. Poor guy. Woo.
Well, shit, that's his fault for smiling, all right? He had a smile on him. Smilers will be shot on sight. And that is my gag for the day.
So, what are you doing?
My camera has gone weird. Don't worry about it. It actually speeds up the more I use it, so it exponentially gets faster. I'll fix it. Don't worry.
You'll figure it out. You'll figure it out. So, again, for those people who are new, we have now finished reading, and we're going to go into the round table where Powercore just plays with his camera and shoving it into his own face.
Don't worry about it.
And we
Okay, there. That's good enough.
and we discuss ideas. So each of us proposes like a general idea, and then we expand on it if we want. I guess it was your pick, so I'll go first. I like the idea of an object which you can like place on something that causes a specific reaction. It's like a charmed like stamp that you can stamp onto an object that will cause, it's basically charmed so that people who look at it cause not necessarily a feeling of inhumanity or humanity, but maybe it causes people to be hostile, causes them to be friendly, causes them to be confused, causes them not to like see it. Basically, it's a programmed, like a set of stamps. Actually, I like that, a set of stamps.
That each has like a pre-programmed emotion. If you wanted to make it authentic to the story, each time you see it, you have to pass a check. And if you fail that check multiple times, the resulting reaction becomes permanent.
I like that. Multi-checks after, we'll go with 8 checks because that 8 checks, multi-checks lasts a day. After 8 checks.
Interesting curse item.
There we go. And it'd be an interesting curse item because, like, you wouldn't really necessarily know that it's cursed, or it wouldn't necessarily feel cursed depending on which ones you used. Because you'd have ones that would cause people to be friendly, and so you'd like plant it on your forehead and just walk around with that, and everybody would feel friendly. But if somebody like fails it multiple times, maybe it even gets like more extreme the more times somebody fails to it.
Yeah, you can up the intensity. That way it becomes a bit of you start to really feel the curse aspect. They've gone from liking you to being actually rabidly obsessed with you.
Yeah.
Also, the dislike stamp could go from a distaste to a hatred to a violent
physically
reaction
violent, yeah.
Even when someone else looks like you, that if they perceive that person as the violent stimuli, they still fly into the violent rage.
Rip. All right, your turn. What do you got?
I do like the idea of training or some form of forced training where if you expose someone to this object long enough, it can supplant another concept in their mind. So let's just call it the blender training. After you go through blender training for a week, now, however I wanted you to view blenders, all blenders of the category now have this effect. So great for workers. Let's say if you need them to work with hazardous mimetic materials, you can permanently alter their cognition for the materials. They just can't even perceive it. Slightly spoilery, but have you seen Invincible?
Yes, I have. So potential spoilers for Invincible for those who've actually not seen that yet. If you haven't seen that and you're into like action anime / cartoons, you should go watch that because it's solid. It's good.
Absolutely. It has some pretty interesting concepts, but my favorite was just a tiny, almost throwaway bit at the end where the US government has been implanting the water with a special chemical that makes people incapable of perceiving a specific light ray. And it was the room where they kept all of their really advanced tech development. It was the moment they flipped on the switch, now you can see it.
I forgot that for a bit. He's like, why are we just in a white room or something like that? It's like, oh, it's not white, and you just it's all bathed in the specific light. But yeah, so I actually like that idea that you've just given as like a villain thing, like a villain who teaches people like this. So like this is a villain who has a weird innate magic that they constantly press an idea on you, and eventually it overwrites it, or any other ideas, it becomes a part of you. So it's like a slow burn training impression that they give you,
And
that then eventually.
a straight up like villain application that existed was a villain in Bleach. His ability was to supplant himself in your memory. So whoever your most precious person was, the person of your deepest affection and desire, he could to play himself as that person.
I'm sure that
And he
goes
would just do
real
this
well
in
when you meet
math.
somebody whose most affectionate person is the person that they want to kill.
Well, yeah, that's a legitimate reason it could backfire. If you found someone with a warped perception of personal gratification or that person, they carry those feelings onto you, even if it's very strangely applied.
Poor dude. All right,
Now,
what else we
luckily for
got?
him, he didn't target any yanderes at the time.
Fucking yanderes, man. Yandere is such a like all those different like personality tropes are interesting and weird.
Yeah, they're kind of like caricatures. Very, they have
Oh, I just
they
realized
have
you can't
some
actually
basis,
see.
but they are super extreme versions of what they should be. No one should probably be a tsundere in real life. You could be a well-adjusted human being despite being a bit prickly.
Anything else? Anything else for this? Any other?
You can definitely play with it. Just the ability to manipulate someone's cognition for a particular category of object is its core, and that could be expanded out into a lot of different items and possibilities. So definitely something to play with. I always
Yeah.
like cognito or cognition manipulation.
I would try and create a spell for this, but every time I try and think of a spell for this, all I think of is the Gias spell, because that's kind of what the Gias does, except it
Yes.
like compels you to do a certain thing and harms you if you refuse to do that thing. And this is just like the general category of charm spells is this effect. This is what charm spells are for: dominate, charm person,
This is
modify
basically a
memory.
charm spell, but you can target it on something that's not necessarily just innately they like you.
Yep, yep. All right, so we're gonna move on
Ooh,
to
instead
the
of charm person,
next
harm
one.
person. They hate whoever you cast the spell on.
Yeah, that's my point. Is there's like modify memory and charm spells. You can compel people to feel different ways about this. So it's already kind of like built
Yeah,
into
there's
the
spells for that.
concept of those spells. So here you go. This is SCP-2058, whose name I have forgotten real quick. So I'm just gonna open this page real quick and read it. It is Smith Jim.
Smith Jim. You never trust someone with two first names.
Is Smith a first name? I
Yep.
feel like the point is it's Jim Smith.
I
Reverse.
feel like
Smith is
Smith
the
could be a
last
first
name.
name.
Yes, maybe. All right. So this is SCP-2058, a level 1 2058 classified item number SCP-2058 object class safe. Special containment
Yay.
procedures. SCP-2058 is to be kept locked in containment chamber 44 when not in use. SCP-2058 is not allowed to wander on its own and may be physically restrained if non-compliant. Containment chamber is to be kept empty, and it is not allowed to hoard items of any kind, as subject has tendency to acquire objects independently. All right. So, description.
A little bit of a cut though.
SCP-2058 is a bipedal humanoid robot 2.7 meters tall, weighing 424 kilograms. Constructed from high-strength polymer impregnated with carbon nanotubes and interlaced with reinforced fibers and epoxy. Impregnated with anything sounds weird.
I was going.
In
I
like a
was thinking
material
it.
way.
Yeah, I get it, but impregnated's not the term I want to use for my cute robot friend.
I feel like there's a better word for that. Impregnated with carbon, like
Interwoven or interlaced or
interwoven or
reinforced
yeah.
with.
Yeah, there you go. Impregnated. That's just an uncomfortable word to use for shoving tubes into a thing.
I shall now impregnate your mind with my ideas. These are not the terms you generally want to use. I'll let you paint a very specific picture.
Yeah. Anyways, speakers beneath its face produce a high-pitched, heavily distorted voice of indeterminate sex.
Aw.
SCP-2058 contains a retractable chest cavity containing a bowl-shaped opening 11 centimeters in diameter. It autonomously seeks out small objects and places them into the opening. When its chest cavity is pressed back in place, a sheath of galvanized steel comes down over the bowl, at which point the object vanishes. When SCP-2058 was given a GPS tracking device to place within its chest cavity, the device continued to transmit, but upon SCP-2058's departure, the device's signal did not change location, and it has to date continued transmitting from the point of disappearance. The means by which SCP-2058 disposes of objects placed within its chest cavity cannot be determined. With the exception of the steel sheath coming down around the object, there appears to be no activity taking place within the chest cavity. High heat generated by SCP-2058 during this process has not exceeded output while idle. Personnel who have examined the cavity report nothing to indicate objects are in any way transported or incinerated or pulverized, although 4 individuals have repeated a brief sensation of warmth and numbness when touching the interior of SCP-2058.
Cozy bowl.
Additionally, SCP-2058 offers life advice in the form of incoherent, often belligerent or criminal suggestions in exchange for U.S. quarters, which is crossed out, any small metallic object. Content of these suggestions often involves sensitive information relating to Foundation personnel it has come into contact with. Advice delivered in this fashion becomes more personalized with each suggestion offered, indicating SCP-2058 gauges the reaction of the individual and adjusts further responses as a result. SCP-2058 was discovered in a reinforced shipping container 22.54 kilometers off the coast of Redacted, Washington. The container was heavily degraded, with polyps beginning to cover the exposed surface. The remains of a logo are visible on one end, with the name Stuff and Something Incorporated having survived, or Inc. The container showed no signs of having been opened, nor were the remains of any shipwreck found in the vicinity.
He's Wally, but he gives life advice that's exceedingly inappropriate.
He gives life advice that's often incoherent and belligerent or criminal.
I like I want to hear his criminal
Let
suggestions.
me tell you what your fucking problem is, punk. Huh? You're not robbing enough people, eh? You gotta get out there and jam a pencil into a door to break the lock, get in there and take something shiny. That's how you make your life better.
How do I deal with the issues with my wife? Have you tried stabbing her?
Have you tried bringing another girl home and doing things in front of your wife so that she feels less valuable to encourage her to do better for you?
You need to assert your dominance.
People can't see, but I am intentionally. Who showed the robot Pornhub? Come on now. We said we weren't going to show him any more stuff.
I think his little bowl is probably, it shunts whatever is put in there into a pocket dimension in the exact same spatial plane, or at least exact same space as normal reality, but obviously it's not there.
What it makes me think of is putting things into the ethereal plane.
Yeah, because it directly corresponds with an actual position on our plane, but it's technically not there.
People keep eating your food, just pee on them. Exert dominance. It's fine. They'll learn to respect you.
Need to bottle up your musk and toss it at people. That's the best way. If you did say it wasn't indiscriminate sex, so bottle up your musk and toss it at people.
Oh, all right. Addendum, your turn.
Addendum. SCP-2058 has shown a tendency to steal objects discreetly. Oh, you little fucking people. When confronted, SCP-58 denies the theft or attempted theft, demonstrating a clear attempt at subterfuge. Regular inspections of SCP-58's containment chambers, almost, I caught myself, have recovered several items stolen from personnel. In one instance, SCP-2058 was observed placing several metallic objects, including jewelry and nails, into its chest cavity. In this instance, none of the stolen items were recovered. Some of the stolen items include a pressure valve, 150 aluminum nails, 7 9mm bullet shell casings, 17 assorted lengths of copper wire, 2 credit cards, a roll of electro tape, a redacted SATA hard drive, newly purchased and not used. Oh, it's probably a Samsung hard drive. Okay. 14 flashcards used by personnel involved in SCP redacted data expunged. As of redacted 2014, SCP-2058 has displayed an interest in SCPs, including SCP redacted referenced above, cataloged and slash or filed by redacted. A potential link between these items is being investigated. And then the
Right.
following is a series of communication logs.
Yep. Um.
The Bostonian
What is
accent
he?
suddenly does actually make sense because he's running around fucking
What
naked
is he?
shit.
What is he? Bostonian accent? What?
It was a bit more Italian. Hey, look, this is what you got. You
Oh,
if
you
he had
mean the
said
voice
he
I
was
was doing
walking
for
in,
him?
yes,
I wasn't. I wasn't thinking about what like voice I was giving him. I was just like doing a voice for something that I consider belligerent. So I guess I consider Bostonians and whatever the other thing
Italian
was,
people.
Italian people, belligerent. I
You
apologize
know
to all
what? You
Bostonians
and the
and
rest of the
Italian
world.
people.
I don't. You guys are.
We love you
That was
though,
a
regardless
joke.
of how you are. Yeah. All right, a log of communications. The following suggestions made by SCP-2058 have been noted due to undue level of knowledge of sensitive information. Due to risk of data breach or leakage, SCP-2058 is no longer allowed to interact with personnel outside of Doctors Prin, Redacted, and Streen. On 04/04/2011, SCP-2058 informed Dr. Prin that researchers were more numerous than valid D-Class candidates and more likely to leak classified information to friends and family. SCP-2058 then suggested a routine schedule of monthly termination of researchers to avoid such leaks. Those
Man, that's
researchers,
fucking
you gotta be getting rid of them. They can't be sticking around too long. They know too much.
They're a
Gotta
little
deal with them, but
nosy, all right? You don't trust those brainy fucks.
you see those
And he didn't
glasses?
see his nails.
Those glasses means they're thinkers. Thinkers like to talk to people. All right. 11/16/2011. SCP-2058 suggested, have you tried ignoring SCP-682? Bullies often thrive on attention. Ignore them long enough and they are eventually liable to stop. And SCP-682 is the invincible lizard, the unkillable lizard, which any
Wow.
SCP like reader will know
I was like, don't
is
I recognize that one?
yeah. Basically, it's the Tarask, which is a story we should read at some point, which is the Lord Blackwood and the Tarask, where somebody writes it at Lord Blackwood hunting SCP-682 and as the Tarask, because it is literally very much like the Tarask. It's unkillable, regenerates, just reborn from the earth where it was last killed if you do completely destroy it.
Does the Tarask hyper adapt to whatever you throw at it?
No, so it is more dangerous than the Tarask. All right. 2/24/2012. SCP-2058 claimed, nothing stops you from terminating Dr. Redacted. Everyone knows he's a fake. Note, information regarding Dr. Redacted and the redacted allegations have been expunged from Dr. Redacted's record.
The fuck were
What?
the allegations?
Sorry, what? What did Dr. Redacted do?
He was a phony, a big fat phony.
You know what? That's a five blank thing. That could totally be Dr. Power or Dr. Force.
Why are you trying to dox the SCP? Look, when something's redacted, you don't talk about it, Force. That's the point of redacting it.
But we're not employees of the SCP Foundation. We're here to create things, and to create, you need to know everything.
Exactly. We're legally distinct contractors with no Foundation affiliation whatsoever. I am not told this because I have a gun to my head, nor blinking for help.
All right, 2/28/2012. So let's just move past that. Pretend that never. No hints. SCP-2058 claimed, babies are cheap, fast, plentiful, and fun to make. Why not put them to use instead of wasting valuable full-grown D-Class D personnel?
All right, now he's thinking with portals.
I mean, he's not wrong in that they are fun to make for one party, at
They're
least.
not particularly fast, to be fair. I guess faster than a fully grown adult, technically, still 9 months.
Yeah.
8 to 9 months.
All right. 3/16/2012. Over a 48-hour period, SCP-2058 responded to all questions and comments with the phrase, there you go again. All right? There you go again, Mr. fucking...
Who taught him catchphrases today?
5/11/2013, SCP-2058 asked without context, "Is this the one with blood sacrifices?" No. This is the one with a weird robot who talks like a Bostonian. 6/22/2013, SCP-2058 informed Dr. Prin of the allegedly high likelihood of successfully embezzling Foundation funds for her own personal use. SCP-2058 then offered to feign a containment breach to allow for additional funding in containing the subject. SCP-2058 demanded to be given at least 4% of the proceeds in return. Now that's a businessman. This is just a good business decision right here.
I'm gonna try to break out a little bit so you get some extra funds. Just, oh my god. An SCP that just regularly breaks out because it wants more funds to containing it.
Oh my, it's an SCP who always tries to break out, never succeeds because he considers like his containment procedures like a show of wealth and power. And therefore is like, yeah, look how much work and money they have to put into containing me. Finds out about a new SCP. Oh, okay, I gotta do some shit for that.
And tries to break out more often so he gets more containment.
Feel free to steal any of these. 1/14/2014, SCP-2058 told Dr. Prin, "You're getting fat. You could lose some weight. Have you thought about removing your legs and replacing them with cybernetic prosthesis? Take it from me. They're fun."
Okay, now he's just speaking truth. All right, there's nothing contentious about the statement.
I mean, it's a little bit belligerent and rude, but you know he's not wrong. Cybernetic prosthesis are more fun than actual limbs. I don't know this for certain, but I believe it.
He speaks truth to power.
Yes. Speaks truth to both force and power. 2/1/2014, SCP-2058 exclaimed, "Stuffing Something Inc. is a fraudulent company, and I highly doubt many of the people working there even know their company's name." That doesn't surprise me. 4/12/2014, SCP-2058 made reference to a non-existent SCP, then apologized upon learning of its mistake, claiming it had been momentarily displaced.
Or just fucked up a numbering. Tried to play it off.
Or as Sovereign says, it wasn't non-existent, it just wasn't temporally constant. Which is totally something an SCP would do.
Oh yeah, that's the one that wiped its memory from your minds. Never mind, I don't want to get deleted.
Sorry, you guys don't know about that one yet. My bad.
Oh yeah, that's right. You guys had to forget about that one. That would be even more worrying.
Anti-memetics division, anybody?
Oh, ow.
All right.
I like my little annoying robot friend.
Like
He's just a robot companion.
Yeah, this is literally just like a mercenary you can hire who's just like follows you around and randomly offers advice in combat. Oh my god. You're supposed to go first, but I just had this idea. Robot who every churn randomly gives someone advantage, including enemies. So he's just a robot who follows you around. It's like following you around and like you're fighting this guy and he looks to your opponent like, no, you gotta aim down low. He's not very good at blocking the lower portion, and so your opponent has advantage on their next attack. He has
massive mommy issues. If you insult him, you'll get a better chance to hit him.
Randomly gives someone advantage on a random check. So it's not always in the middle of combat. Hey, did you hear about this story I heard once about this strange king? You never believe what happens. And so he goes on a ramble about his old king, and now everyone who hears him has advantage on their next history check.
You got an extra bit of random dialogue. Trivia bot. Good old trivia bot just randomly gives history check advantages.
All right.
You technically do this with every skill, actually. You have he picks a skill for the day, and then we'll just randomly give advantage on skill checks for it. Today I am now rattling off Arcana benefits. How do your potions in you 101. How to identify a magical trap. Is it necrotic or is it transmutation? Enchantments and you.
All right. What else we got?
You could also do this with like skill magazine. If you wanted to like implement Fallout skill magazines in D&D, you pick up an object for like X period of time. You now have advantage with like checks with that skill.
Ooh, actually, carrying on with that, you could have like a skill tome / magazine, like you said, which has a certain number of pages, and every time you like go to perform that skill, you can tear a page out, and it just will
Dissolves it into your
burn or
memory.
dissolve and burns into your memory temporarily, so you have advantage on that check. So you've got like a limited number of them, but you can have advantage on that specific check.
It's a cute little utility item. Someone then comes by. The librarian is very pissed you have been ripping pages out of their books.
That seems like the type of thing you'd buy or like steal from someone. But like I could see a party who has like a skill tome of sneaking. Who are like, all right, we got to get into this castle. Everybody take a page. Mine says, make sure you keep your bum swaying. It will distract them. What?
I guess I have to. It says, can't sneak. Sound of ass cheeks is alerting the guards. Too dummy thick.
Ooh, I like that. Sovereign says you could take advantage of the whole feeding it objects, so you could feed it objects associated with skills that then allows it to grant advantage on those skills.
Also true.
So
you put a little object in his coffer that day, and he's like, okay, I'll not help you out with this. You can also just straight up feed it gold. So the amount of money you feed it can also correspond to how many times it'll activate that day.
mm-hmm.
I ain't working for free.
Increase how long / many times it can do this. So I like that as like not necessarily a robot, but like an object, like a backpack or something.
A fun gameplay thing too could be, let's just say you want like a temporary statistic buff. If you just pay the robot, he will give you that statistic buff through the form of life advice. So here's how you can get hit less, plus like 2 HP.
All right. Another thing to play with is again, following the idea, I've been thinking about the idea of feeding it things, is just because I mentioned the ethereal plane earlier. So my brain was just having an idea. I had 2 ideas just there. One was like a creature which, when it eats something, or a robot which, when it like ingests or puts something into itself, that thing goes to the ethereal plane. So it doesn't really kill it, but it does eat it in a weird way, because without like the appropriate materials, you're never getting back from the ethereal plane, and you're eventually just going to pass in the ethereal plane. Eats things, sending them to the ethereal plane. But then I had an idea. If you've ever seen, I can't remember what the movie is called, but it's the one where it's like a time heist where some portions are going forward in time and some portions are going backwards in time. It's really well written.
It's not Tenet, right?
It is Tenet. Thank you.
Okay.
But in this case, it's like you know how you use the fucking doors to like start going backwards in time. In this case, it's like a specific, just like a random pod somewhere that when you go into it and close it, you come out in the ethereal plane. So it's just like a door to the ethereal plane. It's literally just a portal to the ethereal plane, but
it's just like a turnstile to the ethereal plane.
So it's not like a new idea, because portals to other planes are not like new things. But I like the idea of just a weird object that takes you to another place.
And now you're just correspondingly on the ethereal plane. And I imagine spells that would take you to the ethereal plane are now, funnily enough, inverted. It won't just take you back to the normal plane.
Probably.
So like Blink just pops you back into reality temporarily.
You got any ideas? What you got? Any other ideas?
I'm good. Little robo friends giving us a plenty.
All right.
And I have also been scrambling to find another. So you want to do like 2 stories each? Sounds about fair.
Well, I have one more idea. That just sort of semi came to me because I was thinking about another idea I had. It is a Warforged bard who explicitly does stand-up comedy as his like performance. So this is an NPC. He explicitly does stand-up comedy as performance, and he does deprecation humor. So he will pick people and has the like capacity to see into their history and will make fun of them, and basically just goes up on stage and fucking roasts people.
His existence is vicious mockery.
So yeah, we're gonna do 2 each. So go ahead and give me what you got, whatever random thing you find.
You know what? I think I'll pick this one. It's a little bit longer than I aimed for, but just because just because I find it topical. Wait a second. Is
Ooh,
this technically even
interesting.
yeah, you tell me if this is still SCP because the title they flavored the page very differently for this one.
Oh, this is an explained. Okay. Yeah, this is still an SCP.
Okay.
I don't know
And
what
I
the
picked it
Vikander need
because
technical media thing is.
yeah, I have another just in
It
case.
is a specific like it's a hub. It's a group of interest.
Hmm.
It's just one I've never heard of.
Yeah, because apparently there are different flavors of like the SCP top banner. So even within like the same website, there's a secure, contain, protect
Yep.
SCP Foundation. It was just called SCP Foundation.
Yep. You guys can see that. Oh, actually, you can click on the Vikander. If you click on the Vikander, the Vikander need technical media where it says Vikander need,
Hmm.
it actually just takes you back to the main page.
Yep. So I guess this is like a front by the Foundation representing this particular one.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I think that's the idea. So this one is explained. So to explain the explain category, it basically means that they know how this works, and they no
Hmm.
longer consider it an SCP or anomalous because they understand the physics and the science behind it.
Okay. Yeah. Do you want me to start this one off for you?
You picked it, so you start with the containment procedures and description. That's how we do.
Alrighty. Item number SCP-1337. Object class Elucid or Elucid. Yeah,
You.
Euclid's proper. Euclid.
Thank you. Thank you.
Euclid.
Euclid. Yes.
Euclid.
I had a
Site
moment
response.
where you said elucid, and because you'd already made that mistake once before, I didn't catch it until you started like trying to figure it out, and then I'm like, wait, did he just say elucid? Oh, for fuck's sake!
Because seeing C and then the L looks a little bit like an I. I don't normally get to say k when an I is that close. It's cucking me for it. It's kicking me out of the CI's pronunciation. But site responsible is Site 43, Director Alan James McClinnis. Researcher head, Dr. Lillian Lilyhammer slash Dr. Ezekiel Yang.
Are we sure
Assigned
Lilyhammer is her actual last name? Because that sounds like that sounds like it'd be her fucking like online handle.
I know, because she might just have a cool ass name, to be fair.
Yeah, like Mercenary for Matthew Mercer. You know that's his online handle, right? Mercenary,
Mercenary.
which is
That's pretty
such a
funny.
great use of his name. Matthew
There's
Mercer, if you see any of this, please, we'd love to have you on.
uh-huh.
Now, for everybody
Yeah.
watching, do not clip that. Wink, wink. Wait, that's the wrong eye. Wink, wink, and do not send it to
Oh,
Mercer.
let me wink
Wink,
too.
wink.
Wink, wink. YouTube
All
and
right.
D&D dog, all right? Unique subsection. But assigned task force is MTF Kappa 10. It's level 3 containment. I think that's what that means.
Yeah.
That's plus 50 rating, which I think is its story rating.
Yes, it
Uh
is.
Special containment procedures current as of August 2018 until such a time that instances of SCP-1337. Wait, it says this is LEET. Is that what LEET is in LEET 1337?
I'm sorry, I'm reading the words beneath the picture. Um, I read the words beneath the picture and saw NFT and just died a little bit.
Yep, that's why I picked.
1337 is elite speech, but that's
Okay.
just the number that it uses, I think.
Right. So SCP-1337 stopped being produced or ethics committee approval to covertly cease production of the Ethereum blockchain is granted. The foundation is to buy all instances of SCP-1333 produced by VKTM to prevent
1337.
public knowledge of VKTM's operations and
13
reduce civilian exposure to any possible embedded memetic triggers.
It's 1337, not 1333.
Oh yeah, 1337. Leet. SCP
So
Leet
I'm gonna
is
make a
now its
random
name.
guess. I don't always do this, but I'm gonna make a random guess. I'm guessing that this is very similar to the suggestion that was made to one of the doctors before, where another doctor made a fake thing up so that he could get funding to buy NFTs. because he thought he could make a lot of money that way.
He claimed these things are SCPs. We need funding to contain and protect them. I need to contain all the NFTs. Image associated with VKTM NFT, the 2019 Amazon rainforest fires. Image is actually of the 2013 California forest fires.
Yep. So what it is it is a picture of one tree on the left-hand side, 3 trees a few feet to the right of that and closer to the camera, and then one tree on the far right-hand side, very close to the camera, and everything is on fire. Yep.
Burning wood. Description: SCP leaked is great moments in history. NFTs by Vikander Need Technical Media. They have also been soloed under the label VKTM NFT.
Why would you even think that's what that word means? Why would you even think that's what that word? You said soloed.
Have been okay. That was actually a moment of dyslexia. I read that D as an O. That looked like an O to me. I swear to God.
Well, except you still added the D. You said soloed, but why would you think that's what they're describing being done when they're talking about NFTs at all? Why would that word be anywhere in?
Of course, have you understood yet that I don't actually read what I'm reading? I'm just repeating what I see out loud. There's no cognitive processing happening at the reading level.
You're like one of those people who doesn't have an internal monologue. Like you can't hear yourself speak in your head.
I can. It's just I have to actively turn it off. No. Otherwise, I start rewriting what's written.
No, I know you can. That. I'm just saying the people who can't do that, who are like speak everything they think out loud because they need to hear themselves say it.
I wonder if she likes me. I should probably try to go see her later. Did you mean to say that out loud? Oh shit, she heard me.
Okay. Pause. I'm literally clicking the pause button, so we're not recording, so don't read anything else. I've been watching Criminal Minds, and first off, if you're into kink BDSM at all, be prepared if you go into that, because it is just vilifying everything in that community. But it's fine.
Whipped, fucking degenerates. Only not ironic. I say that with love. They don't say it with love.
They do make it clear that the normal people who are into this kind of stuff don't go this crazy, but until they like say those things, and they say them very short, like once or twice every like 10 episodes, it still is like
kind of rough.
Yeah, it's. I mean, they literally second tangent inside of a first tangent. They literally showed a normal playroom with like a sex swing and like tying posts with like like evil music over it of like this guy's a sadist sociopath. It's like it's just a sex swing.
He has whips though, Force. He has whips.
They didn't even show any whips or anything. Like there was one time when they showed a torture kit underneath like a ramshackle bed and like a shed and stuff. That legitimately looked like there was some like kink stuff in there, but most of it was like genuine terrible stuff.
Don't tell them about doggy kennels.
Oh my God. Already been there. They had a lady who kept men in horse stables, but she was turning them into fertilizer, so that's a whole different thing, and it wasn't kink related at all. But
the kennel's not the hard part. It's the fertilizer.
I'll give them this: they're incredibly creative. They need to probably have the people who work on that project examined, as some of them are probably sociopaths themselves. What was I starting on?
We diverted into what Criminal Minds and how they treat kinky BDSM.
Yes, but what triggered that diversion? What was it I was saying before?
Soloed instead of sold, and I have no internal or people who don't have an internal monologue.
Oh, that was it. Okay, thank you. See, saying that helps me remember. ADHD, everybody, help your ADHD people. There was one episode about a guy who thought he had a superpower because he had synesthesia, which is where you whenever you experience a sense, you also experience it in your mind, translate some of it into another sense as well. So it's like you touch something and you can also smell how something feels and stuff like that. In this case, he could see the words that he was hearing. So when people spoke to him, he could see the words around their head, and they would take different colors based on his perception of the person. So if he thought they were a liar, they would be orange. If he thought they were jealous, it'd be green. If he thought that they were evil, they would be red. And so he became
IRL.
Yeah, he became obsessed with this idea that he had the superpower and that he had to stop evil people and he'd be a superhero. And so when anybody spoke and they would have red text because he for some reason perceived them as evil, he would see them as evil and he would kill them because he needed to purge evil. And it was great because I liked the end of it because they talked him down because they're FBI agents wearing official FBI gear and stuff, and so he only saw their text in white because he could never see police, who are the heroes of real life, as evil. And so he had his moment of like he doesn't understand, but they explained it to him, and he was like surrendered and was like, okay. I thought that was really cool. But yeah, that was the original tangent I wanted to go on. Is I thought that was a really cool implementation of synesthesia in real life, or in a story, even if it's not 100% accurate or anything, because I don't know anything about actual synesthesia. I just know the general idea of what it is. But
yeah, it's less specific, but more just the general impression of when you hear like a particular sound, you could see a color or smell it. It's other senses interfering between each other.
Yep. All right, so going back to recording. So where were we? You guys just missed a whole huge tangent.
Stream exclusive tangent. Force, you can't say that many racial epithets.
Look, man, when I have an opinion, I have to share it. And also,
so go check out the stream.
As we all know, humans are all humans except for the people I was talking about.
Yep.
Because they had a specific image on them, and yeah. Anyways, continuing onwards with our NFT SCP.
Good old, I'll just start the description over. SCP Elite is greatest moments in history. NFTs by Vikander Neat Technical Media. They have also been sold under the label of VKTM NFTs. NFTs believed to stand for non-fungible token, a term which has not received mainstream acceptance.
As of 2018. And still not in 2021. It is slowly gaining mainstream acceptance.
Yep, but they had to creep into explosion. SCP Elite purport to give the user ownership of great moments in history. Concepts VKTM NFTs have supposedly granted ownership of include the 100,000th tree cut down in the Amazon rainforest. How the fuck would you even know that? The 100th hole in the ozone layer. Okay, the 100th hole in the ozone layer.
The 1/100th of the hole in the ozone layer.
Ah, okay, 1/100th of the hole.
So these NFTs are not NFTs as we associate them to as like images, specifically, and they're not like referencing hosting sites and stuff like that. What they're talking about is literally owning these things, like these chunks of time or space.
To be fair, that's how our NFTs are sold anyway, too.
True, but like, you know what I mean? This is the I'm going back to that idea of the researcher using claiming it's anomalous as an excuse, and this is probably just another thing of like they're actually selling like
moments in history, guys. I need money to buy them. Otherwise, we're running out of time. Oh,
well, we can't let people own moments of history. That's anomalous. How do you own any specific chunk of time? That would be bad.
That'd be illegal. All sexual harassment lawsuits levied at Activision Blizzard in the next decade.
Well, that's gonna make somebody rich. Holy shit.
The revelation of discriminatory hiring practices at major tech companies. The tiers of civilian identity redacted, age redacted. Upon first realizing his family is one of the many who have slipped into the I need help with this one. The redacted threw me off.
Who have slipped
upon first realizing that his family is one of many to have slipped from the American middle class to poverty.
There's a note here, an annotation, a footnote. Said person was verified to exist in the United States. Their family is above the American poverty line.
Aha.
Thank you, Omega. Have a happy new year.
Oh, hi, Omega. Happy New Year. D&D tomorrow. Wink.
Death and destruction tomorrow. I'm sorry, what?
Dungeons and dudes tomorrow, because we're all a sausage fest anyway. And another symbol of the slow failure of the democratic ideal.
You know what? I like these people. Let's let them keep doing their thing.
I hate these people. As described in Vikander Need marketing material, a non-fungible token is a unique unit of data upon a blockchain that points to the purchase concept. Owning the NFT signifies that the holder owns the signified concept. It is not specified what the owner of the concept is allowed to do with it. A blockchain is a list of entries that cannot easily be modified after creation. A large amount of computational power and electricity is used to prevent unauthorized modification of blockchains. SCP Leet is similar to existing products on the Ethereum blockchain, such as CryptoKitties, which similarly purport to grant the buyers a unique entry in a digital ledger.
Okay.
SCP Leet are traded on the Ethereum blockchain. No shit. Currently, it is responsible for less than 0.5% of all emissions generated by the Ethereum blockchain. Forcibly seizing control of the Ethereum blockchain has been deemed ethically unacceptable due to the calculated environmental impact and projected secrecy breaches involved in doing so. Upon purchasing an instance of SCP Leaked, the buyer will receive an entry in their digital portfolio indicating that they own the concept. This entry will usually include a link to an image pertinent to the linked concept, but these images are generally symbolic as opposed to literal. These images may be under copyright, so if the copyright holders of these images are almost always not associated with VKTM. If the links to these images change, the images will not update. For other entries include offering similar ownership of abstract concept
Entities.
entities offering a similar ownership of abstract concepts, see SCP 2557, a holding envelope of logistics.
A holding
However,
of
unlike
envelope logistics.
its full title is SCP 2557, a
Yep.
holding of envelope logistics. However, unlike offerings by envelope logistics, SCP Elite does not appear to grant its buyers any enforceable ownership claims. As of yet, all known instances of SCP Elite have corresponded to actual events. Prior to Foundation containment, SCP Elite instances remained up for sale for less than an hour before being purchased. Initial prices ranged from 1 USD to 10,000 USD. After purchase, most instances are not resold. The resale value of those that are is on average 99% less than the original. Bad
Mm-hmm.
investments. Don't do it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We're gonna have to create NFT concepts for D&D because you've made us read this, and I hate you for it.
To be fair, what if we integrated? Oh god, my neck.
Oh,
My
I
actual
already, I
neck kind
already
of
have
hurts.
ideas. There was a person once on Twitter. Pause. We're gonna go to another off-screen discussion.
If
More
you want to
things you
see
can
this,
see.
go to the live stream.
Twitch.tv/Force2Reckon every Friday at 5 p.m. EST, 10 p.m. UTC. So what we were doing,
Did you re-record?
SCP leaked initial containment plan meeting, July
Hmm.
22nd, 2018. Redundant explanation redacted. Lilyhammer. Is that all there is to this bullshit, Alexandra?
That's it. It's a hyperlink with a ownership verification process.
Are you sure? There's nothing else? No anomalous legal constructs?
Nothing that matters from a legal or financial standpoint beyond VKTM's existence as a corporate entity, despite an extremely sparse paper trail. There is nothing anomalous about the computational implementation of SCP 1337.
Yang. I'm certain there are nuances. I don't care.
Well, I'm not a fan of them either.
What are you a fan of? Housing crisis? The occasional annihilation of Bielefeld?
God damn. That's kind of fucking hard.
This is a hard one. Believe me, that was before my time. It's part of why the Department of Financial Esoterica was formed. What's your doctorate in again?
Mathematics.
Then why are you wasting your time in finance? I like money.
Unironically, this is most people who are in finance.
Yep. Then why are you working for the Foundation instead of Bay Street?
I'm not Canadian.
Wall Street. American. Better work-life balance. Are you serious?
Never.
I hate you already. I get that a lot. This is the perfect character for us to alternate. It just makes you hate him
This is
more.
This is just pure distilled both of our sass into one person.
Alexandra.
Alexander. Oh yeah. I was requested to act as a moderator primarily because we predicted there would be a significant personality clash between you two. Please.
Personality clash? This is a moral issue. Was I the last one who read, or did you?
You did it because you said I get that a lot.
Okay. Yep.
Yes, yes, the financial industry is full of blood-sucking parasites. Yes, we're all soulless monsters with no appreciation of art or beauty. Yes, I add zero value to the world in my current job, but it takes a thief to catch a thief.
Fine. Doesn't mean I have to like it. Alexandra, can we snip all of that from the record?
I will consider it if it proves necessary.
Footnote.
Dude.
Due to Dr.
Dr.
Yang's
Yang's
comments on the nature of the financial industry, the previous conversation was determined important enough to include.
Lol. Your Yang?
Nope, because I did the little bit between Lilyhammer and Alexandra.
Fine. So I'll break down what these VKTM NFTs are from a financial standpoint, how they behave. Yeah, so just how they behave. When you buy most assets, you do so with the expectation that you'll gain some future value from them. When you buy a stock, you're legally entitled to a share of that company's cash flow into perpetuity. If you buy a bond, you're buying into fixed payments as long as the bond exists. These NFTs, I'd say it's more analogous to buying fine art. He's not wrong.
I just want to point out, like, I've done the like reading into things on the difference between stocks and bonds so many times, and in those 2 sentences, this SCP writer has better explained to me the difference between a stock and a bond than any fucking research I've ever done on it, in a way that I will remember next time I go to recognize what it is.
Brevity is exceedingly powerful.
All right.
Yes, he is absolutely not wrong.
Soulless monsters with understanding of art or beauty indeed. When we're not talking about an art, and if we ignore the money laundering use case, people buy fine art for either its aesthetic or sentimental value, or because they expect it to increase in value. The data isn't showing the second. These things are effectively worthless the instant they leave VKTM's ledger. There's nothing anomalous about this part of the effect, which is why you're here. Why me? I thought I was only here because of my natural brilliance. Jesus.
You were chosen for your both expertise in memetics and your previous study of Vikander need. The reason I'm deferring to you is that I can't possibly imagine why people would literally invest in the deforestation of the Amazon. It has to be memetic compulsion. It has to be memetic compulsion. I choked up because
because that's just so funny.
yes.
Which her response is, "You literally work on containing the financial industry. You know how horrible people can be. That's different. They're rational actors. What's rational about
being a piece of shit is rational if you get rich off of it.
You're a piece of...
Please try to remain civil."
Yang takes a drink of water and smooths his tie. Lilyhammer also takes a drink of water. My point... wait.
You're Yang.
Yes. My point is, no one with half a brain should buy these things. Personally, I think they're both abhorrent and pointless. So you do have morals.
As much as anyone who works in the Foundation does, yes. Any memetic effects?
I'd have to run a more thorough breakdown. But tell me, Alexandra, can you bring up another example on our screens? Alexandra brings another instance of SCP-Leet onto their screens. This is the radicalization of Civilian Identity Redacted and subsequent actions in January 2021. The picture is of the Washington Monument.
Can we use these at all? Is the VKTM reliable with future predictions?
Look at it. It's too vague. What's he going to do? Protest naked in front of... in Washington, D.C.? The Washington Monument. But close enough. Is this normal to VKTM's helpful hints? Unfortunately. But tell me this. How do you feel when you look at this?
I'm sorry, real quick interjection. Are you just exposing him to memetic hazards and observing the effects? My god, that is not a proper way to experiment if these are memetic.
I mean, it kind of is.
Yeah,
you just usually do it with D-class.
Coworker, with everyone in the room. If it has a bad effect, wow, you infected everyone on the team. Congrats. I vaguely patriotic? It's a picture of the Washington Monument. Nice sculpture, 400 years old. Probably built with slave labor. Not
Oof,
worth
that's a
the.
good
Why are
point.
they asking for?
I literally never thought of that before.
White House too. Well,
uh,
actually, both before and after it was burned down. Uh, not worth the. Are they asking for $500 for a hyperlink? Jesus Christ.
Glad to hear you're not a complete monster. But at a first glance, and I need more time with these to be sure, there's no mimetic compulsion effect here. Nothing anomalous, at least. So people are just buying these because they want to own all this idiotic yep.
God damn it. It seems that we have. It seems we appear to have come to a conclusion. Despite their producer, instances of SCP-1337 are entirely non-anomalous, financially, technologically, and memetically.
Think so. There's a mimetic component. It's real subtle, which is VKTM style. I'll take a closer look, but I don't expect to find anything. Agreed. I'll have the quants
The
of the
quaint.
quants. No, there's no I in there. That's why.
Oh.
Of the quants, take a closer look. I don't expect anything deeper to pop up.
Yeah, it is quant. Which
Okay,
is apparently
so
for
it's
short for
less.
quantitative analysis.
So it's less. Before we get to the preliminary conclusion, it's less that this guy was trying to own them for the potential like payoff, and more that he is a financial investor. It's like there's no value in these. This has to be a mimetic. It
What?
doesn't make any sense.
Why would you treat these as stock and use them to trade as stock? It's such a bad idea. You know what? He's right. If you treat your NFTs like stock, it is a very bad idea.
Mhm.
Don't. Just stop.
Preliminary conclusion. No anomalous properties were determined to exist in SCP-1337, or LEET. However, SCP-LEET remained under observation due to the anomalous proclivities of its manufacturer. Current containment procedures were implemented under the recommendations of Drs. Yang and Lilyhammer and Alexandra.aic. View updated special containment procedures as of the present date. Click, and there's a new SCP file.
Oh damn! I didn't see that.
It's
one.
very,
But hey,
very
it's not.
short. Your turn.
Oh, okay. SCP item number 1337X. Site responsible NA. Director NA. Everything is NA. Special containment procedures obsolete. The description: SCP Leet X were non-anomalous, non-fungible tokens created and sold by Vikander Need Technical Media. SCP-1337X incorporated anomalous knowledge possessed by Vikander Need, but were not anomalous in themselves. As of March 5th, 2021, it is believed that no further instances of 1337X will be created. Descriptions of non-fungible tokens are widely available through civilian sources.
Addendum 1. The following communication was sent between Drs. Lilyhammer and Yang on 3/10/2021. To Ezekiel Yang, PhD, Financial Esoterica, from Lillian Lilyhammer, PhD, Site 43. Subject: Forward Product Discontinuation. Date: 10/03/2021. Ezekiel: People are shit.
To Lillian Hammer, or Lillian Lilyhammer, PhD, Site 43, from the Kenner Need Public Outreach. Subject: Product Discontinuation. October 3rd, 2021. Dear Lillian, we are grateful of your organization's prolific patronage of our limited edition one-of-a-kind VKTM NFTs. Unfortunately, due to an unprecedented and unpredictable increase in competitions in the NFT space, we will be discontinuing this line of products. We don't have the star power of Banksy after. Wow, that's fucked. Of Banksy after all. Your previous NFTs are worth exactly what you could sell them for. From your friends at Vikander Need Technical Media.
Giant billboard. Vikander Need Technical Media for a better tomorrow. Trademark. All right.
Banksy is a graffiti artist who creates like single stills.
I know who
that are
Banksy
worth a lot.
is.
Okay, well, the audience might not.
NFTs. I had a discussion with my family about NFTs over over when I went down for Christmas dinner, and it was like there's. I understand the premise of them, and there's potential value there, but as a new frontier, they're gonna be abused the fuck out of, all sorts of shit. Don't get involved with them yet. And most importantly, like, if one of your reasons for believing they're valuable is it allows an artist to sell their art to a specific individual who then owns that art and can distribute it as they deem
They could already
necessary.
do this.
This is already a thing. This is what they call commissions. If you commission a piece of art from somebody, you are paying them to literally own that art yourself. They are the creator of that art. They will always be the creator of that art, and credit goes to them for making it, but you legally own that art. That's what a commission is for, unless they specifically say otherwise, at which point you
Terms and
probably
conditions
shouldn't.
apply based on your condition contract.
Yeah. But that's why you can commission art. Like, I could commission art for, like, I can commission art of like a character model for myself that I can then pose in certain ways. And once a person has commissioned that and made the posable parts so that I can then pose it and like interlay it into videos, they have no say over how I use that. And if people ask, I don't have to credit them because I own that work. I should, because they did the work, and that's amazing. And I would, because I'm the type of person who would do that. It's like, hey, I may have paid this person to do this stuff, but they fucking did this, and look at how amazing it is. That's why if you go to my YouTube channel, which this is not necessarily a plug for the YouTube channel, it's youtubechannel.com/RehfeldT, REHFELDTT. There is a icon, or if you follow me on Twitter, or any of my media right now has a picture or an icon of like a glitched out semi like drawn version of me, which is done by Astral something on Twitter.
Oof.
I've forgotten her name because it's been so long, but I'm following her. Spooky Andy Astral Addiction, right there. First Twitter up on there. She is a LGBTQ creator, 24 years old. She's like a professional artist, and she does amazing stuff. It's really good stuff. And so, like, yeah, if you do see those and you like that, go give her a follow and say hi to her, because she does amazing stuff. And if I can afford to commission more art,
to support your local artists.
Yeah, you don't need to use NFTs to support an artist. Just say to that artist, hey, I want to commission art and support you. Can I like pay you like $500 to do something? Most artists who do this stuff, who are into the community for a while, will have like a commissions notification somewhere on their content pages, which will say commissions open or commissions closed. And this means if it's open, that means that they're accepting commissions right now. So reach out to them and say, hey, I want to do a commission. Do you have like a commission page that shows what your commissions are and what kind of commissions you do? Or look on their page, because they'll usually have those pinned. If their commissions are closed and you like their art and you want to get something from the commissions, follow them, and eventually the commissions will usually reopen. Commissions can be closed for all number of reasons, because they have a bunch of commissions already they're working on, or because they have like personal stuff that they're working on or professional stuff that they're working on that means they don't have time for it. Like Andy's commissions are closed right now, I believe, because she has a new job, and during Christmas they had a lot of stuff that they had to do for it. And so she just wasn't able to do that. She is an illustrator for a company, so she was doing her art anyways. But yeah, it's if you have an artist you like, they will usually say somewhere whether or not they do commissions. If it doesn't say somewhere and you want some of their art, but you want to own it as your own, reach out to the artist and say, hey, can I commission you for some work? I don't see it anywhere. And most of them will say yes. Just don't cheap out on them. Know that like even a simple like sketch out can take hours to do, and be willing to pay like $30-$40 for like a sketch up of something. If you get like
depending on how high demand they are, they could charge whatever they want. It's negotiation between you two.
You ask them for their price, and if it's really crazy out of your price range, try and bring it down, but don't
I will pay you $1 for drawing.
Yeah, no. That's
it's a back and forth, because if they have an asset page, it actually makes it easier. So like the outfit I'm wearing was made by Cinti Studios, but I have modified and kit bashed it for my usages. So Cinti made it, but I am allowed to use it in my commercial endeavors as I see fit. I don't need to credit them, but I like their stuff. I think that's where the chair I'm sitting in comes from too. Cinti brand chair.
Yep. And all the art you guys see on my thing right now is either created by me, or is a general purpose use art piece. Like this fiery, for the people who are listening, there is a I do a portal aesthetic on my streams and on my YouTube channel, where webcams are put in these like fiery rings that are representative of like a portal of that person looking in or being seen through into another reality, another space. Because I like that imagery. I'm a fantasy nerd. And this art was done. It is a GIF from a publicly available library that I've forgotten what the library that was, and then it's just recolored. I use a color corrector in stream to correct the color to a new color. So I have modified it for my use. I think originally it was blue, close to the blue that PowerCore uses, but whatever. I modified it to purple and then modified it back for that blue. So I consider that still modification. The like background, I have like a background of stars and like celestial objects like slowly sliding past us. That is literally just a free to use depiction of the night sky. That's then just like, again, recolored a little bit and set to scroll on my in it. It's all like, it is a still image that I've set up and animated. It's yeah. I don't know why all that was necessary to describe. I'll probably cut that out of the final
I was letting you go free.
podcast, but it is still something that can be said and can be brought up, because support your artists. And if you don't have money to support artists, there are tons of like free resource libraries out there that you can utilize, that you can still like reference and shout out and be like, I got it from this library, if you remember that library.
NFT is a very odd method of you really getting any asset. Use it as a fun way to hang on to something, a little token. That's about all it's worth. As a side note, do you think we could end a bit early? Because my neck is actually starting to hurt.
We can end in just a moment, after we create a couple ideas based around the concept of NFTs, because you brought this in. So I like the idea. This is actually really funny. Going back to the concept of wizards controlling the economy, I like the idea of a spell or a set of spells created by a entrepreneurial wizard, where you can utilize the spell, but every time you do, you have to pay a
fee,
usage fee that goes to the wizard.
Isn't there a spell like this? I could swear there's actually a spell in the book like this.
There might be. But I'm thinking of like a spell book or a set of spells or something that you buy that anyone can use by just utilizing it, or like reading out the information in the spell book. So actually, this would be a magic item / spell book / stuff, which anyone can use, no charges, but costs money each time you use it, and the money goes to the creator. There you go.
It's like it's a coin-operated magic item. You can slot a certain number of gold coins.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, pretty much. And you own that item.
You own it. I had the thought of since I am a digital character, I'm a bit worried NFTs could actually manifest and hurt me. They say NFTs can't hurt you. They might actually hurt me. Because in the end, if I ever find whatever section of public communication the Ethereum blockchain is on, sounds like a good way to just horrifically die.
I also just had another idea. An NPC, don't know who or what specifically they would be, who sells you a plot of land with a beautiful home on it. And then the home, after you've bought it, gets up and walks away. So he doesn't sell you the house. He's very careful not to say that he's selling you the house. He's selling you the plot of land here. And then it's just like a mimic house or something that he works with, who gets up and walks away, but he sells you the plot of land as if it had the house on it. So he sells it to you for like thousands and thousands and thousands of gold, and it gets up and walks away. It just plants itself in a new spot, and he sells that new spot of land.
Good trickster. I have a feeling that's a very likely way to get killed.
Oh, absolutely. But that's why the house is a giant mimic house who he works with. Because if they do attack, they do figure it out and they try and attack him, he's got a mimic house that he's very powerful that will defend him.
Nay, the mimic house gets more. The more money he makes, the more things he can buy from mimic house.
That actually works really well. Okay, yeah, NPC
That
con
guy would be a
artist
warlock too, because I think there is a warlock
slash
feature that
mimic
lets you talk to mimics.
with a mimic house and moves the house. House grows by buying new objects for the house and adding them into it. So it literally feeds on objects that it then ingests into itself, and it can like take the materials and expand its form or stuff like that. Or it can just like add them into the house to make the house nicer. And so yeah. So they use the money to feed the house and also to feed him and take care of his stuff. And he actually lives in the house for real because they're like good friends. Oh my god. Con lives in the house. I love this NPC. Oh my god, I love him so much.
He's literally just a used car salesman, but an evil magic user with his mimic. You could
And
actually make evil car salesman. The car's a fucking mimic. He just eats whoever buys it. Like, well, we've got a new car for sale, guys.
All right. You got anything? Come on. Give me some.
I
Give me
like
some.
the idea of like making NFTs manifest, just following that concept, because the whole joke is they're not tangible, but creating a fun way where, oh no, they actually are tangible. Will be a good example. Like you would have to go to a vending machine and buy an NFT of a gun, but then an actual gun spawns.
Well, yeah, all you're talking about is there's items in the game called like leaf tokens and stuff like that, and feather tokens that you can buy that have like an image of a thing on it, and when you activate them, they actually cause that thing or create that
Yes.
thing. So those are
Yes.
literally an item in the game already.
What people think NFTs are versus what they actually are.
Oh, so there we go.
Yeah,
I think
NFTs have a lot of fun narrative application. You gotta give them some time and let people get a bit of distance from the soreness.
All right. I think that's going to be it for today. Going back, we created a set of stamps, pre-programmed emotions or reactions that require multiple checks over the course of 8 days. Each check, if you fail it, lasts a day, and once you've failed 8 checks, it's permanent and gets more extreme with each failure. You have a training seminar, which forces or overwrites perceptions and beliefs. And then you have a villain who can plant ideas into you slowly over time.
Kinky.
You have a robot who every turn randomly gives someone advantage on a random check, including enemies. You have a trivia bot who gives you advantage to an advantage to a random check every day with people who interact with it, using trivia quotes. You have skill tomes where you can rip out the pages to grant yourself advantage on the next skill check. You have an object which you feed items, and it grants advantage for a certain amount of time associated to the skill that you can then feed gold or precious metals to increase how long or how many times it can do this. You have a robot or a creature who eats things and sends them to the ethereal plane, a turnstile to the ethereal plane, and an NPC Warforged bard who does stand-up comedy / roasts as his performance. And then for the NFTs, we have a magic item / spellbook / stuff which anyone can use, has no charges but costs money each time you use it, and the money goes to the creator. Or you have an NPC con artist and mimic who sell a plot of land with the mimic house on it, and then move the house after the plot of land has been sold. The house grows by they buy new objects for the house and add them into it, and the con artist lives in the house. There we
Mimic
go.
symbiosis. Oh, don't forget about tangible NFTs, coins that would reflect them. You have now purchased the NFT.
Well, like I said, those are already literally in the game. So if you want to do that, you can just expand on the feather and the like tree tokens and stuff.
Yep.
So there you go. If you like any of those ideas, feel free to create them yourself and tweet them at me at twitter.com/Rehfelt, TREHFEL, D as in David, T as in Thomas, T as in Thomas, or PowerCore2000 at
that PowerCore 2000.
Yep. Follow us as well. I will occasionally go through these ideas and create some of them myself and share them out for people to utilize. Otherwise, thank you guys very much for coming out. You guys are awesome. Stay awesome and have an awesome time. Until next time,
safe.
my name is
Happy
Force.
New Year's. I'm Power.
Signing off. Bye-bye.